Hi, this is Mike Spivey of the Spivey Consulting Group. It is Monday morning, February 8th, the morning after the Super Bowl, which seems to be a fitting time to talk about something a little bit different. This is going to be more resiliency oriented and less admissions advice oriented. So if you came here for optimism, stick around. If you came here for an admissions update, we will put stuff continuously on our blog the rest of the cycle. But after the Super Bowl, for some reason, I thought back to an interview I saw with Dr. Anthony Fauci a couple nights ago on C-SPAN. It was a 30-minute interview in which he answered questions with utter poise, professionalism, and with 40-plus years of experience behind them. So his answers had meaning. They were data-driven and evidence-based. I don't want to talk about the data-driven and the evidence-based, nor do I want to talk about the professionalism and poise. What I'd like to talk about is the fact that in a nearly 50-year career, I had never heard the name Anthony Fauci until COVID-19. I'm going to guess you had never heard the name Anthony Fauci until COVID-19, until a year ago. In fact, less than a year ago. And I'm going to guess if I put a poll up on Twitter, 98 to 99% of the people responding would say the same thing. But for 40 some odd years, more than 40 years, he was paying his dues early in his career. I guarantee you with ups and downs. He was grinding away, working into long hours of the night, fighting Ebola and the swine flu, the bird flu, and many other infectious diseases without any fanfare amongst the lay people outside the medical community, you and I, showing up, doing his job day after day. My point is this. Sometimes you have to have many private victories and, sadly, private defeats before the public victories. And I bring that up because this is the time of year where you see, rightfully so, an 8 p.m. post in at this law school or a full scholarship at this law school. And I think it's very much human nature to say to yourself, I'm 10% happy for that person and I'm 90% discouraged because that person's not me. That's all of us, by the way. There have been many times in my life, and I'm just going to be completely forthcoming, particularly when I was younger, I would look at others' success with a bit of jealousy. I think about my first job out of college, which paid very poorly and had 0% fulfillment. And I would look at some of the people I graduated with, and I was jealous. When I applied to business school, I applied to 2 schools. I got denied to my dream school, and I went to my backup school. Yet now, I feel like I make a difference with the 33, 34 people at my firm whose families depended on our firm communicating with the world and adding value to the world. So if you're sitting there feeling down because this is the most competitive cycle I've seen in 21 years of admissions. Every human being who has ever lived on the planet has had dark moments. It's 5 a.m. I was outside at 3 a.m. Pitch black. And what did I see? Well, the brightest of stars. In the darkest of moments, you can see the brightest of stars. So this message is for those who haven't had that experience yet of saying, admitted to this school, admitted to that. 2 things. One is, likely you're going to get to make that post. Number 2 is, people may not get to hear your name for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. You may not see the fruits of all your hard work this cycle. But you will. Because there was a time in my life, again, when I was in junior high, when I was in elementary school, I think if people had looked at me, they would say, there's a below average person that's not going to amount to much with their life. And I've gone on to do some wonderful things and have horrible failures, but those wonderful things never looked bright or like a distant star on a dark, cold night. And they happened. I wish for just a moment you could get into my 48-year-old head and span my lifetime and look at all the successful law school students and law school applicants I've seen over my career. It is a heartwarming trip down memory lane to think back on people who thought they had no chance, someone taking the LSAT for the fourth time, who had thought they had tried everything. Just last week, someone who had struck out at OCI, who got a job offer outside of OCI with Sullivan and Cromwell. Thousands of stories of other people who didn't get to immediately share with their family, their friends, experience for themselves how brilliant and wonderful this career can be, this life can be, who now are thriving and had to wait just a little bit longer. It's a slow cycle. It's a tough cycle. For many, we're going to have to wait a little bit longer, but I wish everyone all the best, and anything is possible. This was Mike Spivey.